Good morning and welcome to Walk Before You Run. Today I want to talk about 1 Samuel 9:17, 1 through 17. And I want to talk about Saul the king. Now I want to go back before he becomes king and just look at how it all started. We are introduced to Saul as being an obedient, caring son. So let's read it and see what I mean by he was being an obedient, caring son. It says, Now there was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, the son of Bech-horath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. Now, this says a mighty man of power means of strength and wealth. Now, I looked at the meaning of Benjamin, and it means son of the right side. And when you think about the right side of God, that means a place of honor. And so he was the youngest son of, he was the full brother of Joseph. And Joseph was the knee baby of, say that they were both the children of Rachel, who was his favorite wife, the one that he worked so hard for, worked for her father for 14 years to become her husband. And so Saul is of that lineage, of the Benjamite lineage. And one thing that we know about the Benjamites is that they were fierce warriors. They were fierce and ferocious in battle. In verse 2, chapter 9 of 1 Samuel, it says, And he had a son whose name was Saul. And we're talking about his father. And he had a son whose name was Saul, a choice young man and a goodly, that just means handsome. And there was not among the children of Israel a goodlier person than he. From his shoulders upward, he was higher than any of the people. Just means that he was, like we say in these days, he was probably tall, dark, and handsome. Verse 3 says, And the asses of Kish, Saul's father, were lost. And Kish said to Saul his son, Take now one of the servants with thee, and arise, go seek the asses. And it doesn't say that he gave his father any back talk. His father told him to go and find their animals. And it says, take one of the servants with him. It doesn't tell us that he back talked his father. So he was an obedient son. He did what his father asked him to do. Verse 4 says, And he passed through the Mount Ephraim and passed through the land of Shalisha, but they found them not. Then they passed through the land of Shalim, and there they were not. And he passed through the land of the Benjamites, but they found them not. So they went farther and farther and farther looking for the asses of his father. Verse 5 says, And when they were come to the land of Zuph, Saul said to his servant that was with him, Come and let us return, lest my father leave caring for the asses and take thought for us. And so this tells me that he is a caring, obedient son because he did immediately what his dad told him to do. And then when he had been gone so long, he said, You know what, let's go back because I want my father to stop worrying about his asses. And all of a sudden now he has to be worrying about if we're okay, if his son is okay. And so let's just turn back around and go back because I don't want my father worrying unnecessarily. Verse 6 says, And he said unto him, the he is his servant, said unto him, Saul, Behold, now there is in this city a man of God, and he is an honorable man. All that he saith comes surely to pass. Now let us go thither. Peradventure, he can show us our way that we should go. So he's saying, let's go consult the man of God and see if he can give us some advice as to, do we go back? Do we keep going forward? Do we go to the left, to the right? What is it that we should do right now? I know you're concerned about your father worrying about us, but let's go and consult the man of God to see what he tells us we should do. So this tells me that this servant of his was a believer that God could direct their path in the right way. And today I said we were going to talk about bigger than we ask. So let's get into this. This is getting us closer to what I wanted to talk about. It says, let's go back and reread 7. It says, then said Saul to his servant, behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent. Means that the bread is gone. They don't have any more. And in our vessels. And there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? And the servant answered Saul again and said, behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver. That will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. So they didn't go empty handed to the man of God. They wanted to bless the man of God because they knew that the man of God would have their best interest at heart and would tell them the truth, whatever the truth was, that he would tell them the truth and he would give them direction. And so they wanted to not go empty handed asking for help. And that's just a little note to self, that when we go to God, a lot of times we go with our hands out wanting. But sometimes when we go to God, we ought to go wanting to know, what can we give? What service can we render? What can we offer? And it may not be, good morning, it may not be given directly to God, but when we give to his people, to the man of God, to the children of God, under the direction of God, then that is essentially given to God. So we don't always go empty-handed trying to see, what can I get? Sometimes go saying, what can I render unto God for all his benefits? Verse 8, and the servant answered Saul again and said, behold, I have here at hand the fourth part of a shekel of silver. That will I give to the man of God to tell us our way. 9 says, before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of God, and that went to inquire, it just means to go seeking some guidance. When he went to inquire of God, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. Then said Saul to his servant, well said, come, let us go. So they went unto the city where the man of God was. And as they went up the hill to that city, they found young maidens going out to draw water, and said unto them, is the seer here? And they answered them and said, he is. Behold, he is before you. Make haste now, for he came today to the city, for there is a sacrifice of the people today in the high place. Verse 13 says, and soon as ye be come into the city, ye shall straightway find him before he go up to the high place to eat. For the people will not eat until he come, because he doth bless the sacrifice, and afterward they eat that be bidden. And so keep going on verse 13. It says, now therefore get you up, for about this time you shall find him. And they went up, verse 14, into the city. And when they were come into the city, behold, Samuel came out against them for to go up to the high place. Now the Lord told Samuel in his ear a day before Saul came, saying, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel. Now, this anoint him to be captain, that means a prince or a ruler over Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, behold, the man whom I spake to thee of, this same shall reign over my people. Now, Saul was going to Samuel, the man of God, to seek advice about where to go to find these asses of his father. And he came to him because his servant said, let's go seek some advice from the man of God. Sometimes when we go seeking advice from God, we go wanting something that to us at that moment seems like it's a big deal. But sometimes when we go earnestly seeking God's guidance, he will give us something even greater. That's why I said bigger than we ask, because he was asking, can you help me figure out which way to go find my father's animals? And here God is telling Samuel to tell him, you shall reign over my people. Now think about it. You are obedient. You are caring. You are obedient to your father. And then your father blesses you beyond measure, because he was obedient to his earthly father, but his heavenly father blessed him beyond measure. Now you might be thinking, are we talking about the same Saul who went after David and tried to kill him? Yes, but that's a different Saul. You know, sometimes we change, and not for the better. And that's what happened to Saul. But initially, this was an obedient, caring son who did what his father told him to do, and was so caring that instead of, continuing to look for the animals, he was more concerned about his father worrying unnecessarily. And so he wanted to turn back around and go home to make sure that his father didn't worry about him for nothing. He wasn't even concerned about himself. He was concerned about his father. And God will bless you when it's not all about you. When your concern in life is not all about you, but you're more concerned about doing what's right and seeking his guidance and seeking him, he will bless you. He will give you more than what you ask for. He will bless you with a blessing that's bigger than what you ask for. And that's just that loving God that we have. Now, don't get me wrong. He also says, vengeance is mine, said the Lord, I will repay. But when we are obedient and caring and trying to do what's right, and we seek his guidance, he will bless us bigger than what we ask for. Thank you for joining me today. And I apologize for not being on yesterday, but I was under the weather, and I'm feeling a little better today. And so I pray that you pray my strength in God and pray for healing and strength for me, and I will be praying for you. I'll see you next time. Remember to walk through the Word of God so that He can strengthen you as you run on. And remember that you are blessed to be a blessing, because when you are obedient, caring, and seek God, He will bless you bigger than you ask for. I'll see you next time.